What's up, people, and welcome to, well, I don't know what to call this. Clout video? No, not clout video. So, anybody that has watched me for a while knows that I am a huge Warhammer anything fan. Except for Age of Sigmar, because Age of Sigmar is awful. But we're not going to talk about that. What we are going to talk about is the ongoing debate about female Space Marines, which has been beaten to death by everybody and their mother in the 40k community. But what I'm going to do is give you the rational reasoning of why it infuriates so many people. Not necessarily me, because I have my own thoughts and opinions on that, but the idea of gatekeeping isn't about, and this is just from a different viewpoint, isn't about the fact that you don't want new people coming in. In fact, if you want to explain the Warhammer 40k universe to anybody, you really only need one thing to get them hooked. And that one thing is right here. This. This is all you need. That's how I got hooked. That's how my wife got hooked. That's how my friends got hooked. And then, you know, what is it? 54 novels later, you have a basic understanding of the general 40k universe. Now, the biggest argument that I've seen coming from people that argue for Space Marines being female is that they're going for inclusivity and representation, which is fine. But the reasoning for wanting them is not. And that reason that I've seen multiple times is that Space Marines are the poster child of 40k. Therefore, they need to be both male and female. That isn't necessarily true. Are Space Marines the generic poster boy for 40k? Yes. Would I call them the only thing that makes 40k what it is? No. Not even remotely close. It's a straw man argument when all it boils down to is I want this because it represents this thing that I believe in strongly about. And that's fine. That's perfectly fine. But what you don't do is you don't go into a community making demands saying, we have to do this, or you're a racist or a bigot or istophobe or any other buzzword that you can think of for anybody who disagrees with you. Because all you're doing is pissing off that side of the community that actually respects the lore. And yeah, at the end of the day, it's sci-fi, you know, space guys, big burly men dudes with big ass guns. But people love it. And people like it the way it is. Which brings me to my next point of headcanon. Headcanon is fine all day long. You want to make an army and say that they're entirely composed of female Drukhari or Eldar or orcs even? Go for it. Do it. Nobody is going to say no. I wouldn't say no. If you want to say that a entire Space Marine army is non-binary asexuals, fine. Nobody cares. Nobody is going to argue. What they are going to argue about is whether or not you're going to come in here, and when I say in here, I mean into the fandom, and be like, no, this is how it has to be. When there is years and years and years of stuff saying, it doesn't really work. No, you can't do that. So it's this pushing of ideals that stuff has to align with your values and your views inside of a setting that isn't reality. And that's what makes people mad. And sorry, I gotta remove this from here. the next thing is this argument about, well, we want more women to be interested in 40k. And again, there is, for anybody that has actually read 100 books like I have, there are tons of women in the 40k universe. Tons. And most of them are equally as badass as any Space Marine. Let me give you another example. And it's sad. There's one. Triumph of Saint Catherine. Good book. There's, again, this push that I want this thing to look just like me and behave just like me when it just doesn't. If you can't find the good in something and all you're looking at is this one aspect of, I don't like this thing, then you're probably not as big a fan as the people that are telling you, no, you can't do that or have that, but we have this, that over there that is in line with what you want. But generally, the people that are making the argument don't want to hear that side of it. All they want is, no, you have this, I want that. That's what we need. And that doesn't work. You can't go into any community and start making demands without some sort of a reason behind it. It just doesn't work. And again, most people that hear that female Space Marine argument are going, okay, then make a female Space Marine army. Say they're female. Go for it. Do it. But don't push for something that's already been established as, hey, you can't do this for this reason. And then start arguing with those people saying, well, that's not how it should be. Even though it's been that way for years. And you could say, well, stuff changes. Lore changes. You know, canon changes. There's retcons, what have you. The fact is they haven't done it yet. And as far as Games Workshop goes, they've even said, no, we're not going to do that. Here, we're going to put it in a codex. End of story. But there's always this vocal minority that has to be at odds with the existing fandom. So, and the thing that works in most circles is you just don't talk about it. At all. Ever. You don't even bring it up. You don't walk into a Games Workshop store and go, hey, where are the female Space Marines at? Because one of two things is going to happen. You're either going to start an argument or everybody's going to look at you like you just said some very heretical shit. And it's better just to go with, okay, this is how it is. This is how it's going to be. You either like it or you don't. And the whole thing, at the very end of the day, is exhausting because it's always the same arguments from both sides. No, you can't have that because of this. Well, I don't like that, so I'm going to yell loudly on Twitter about it until I get the engagement, or in the case of the last couple days, make a YouTube video about, well, I'm not saying that there can't be female Space Marines, I'm just saying that maybe there could be, you know, it just pushes buttons. And that's why you have this very, very loud section of the fandom that just becomes irate anytime it's brought up, is because it's been beaten to death. At least once a month it comes up with somebody saying, oh, I saw this tweet, or oh, I saw this YouTube video, or oh, I saw this Facebook post, and then it all starts all over again. And, you know, at the end of the day, the people that enjoy 40k the way it is don't want it to change for the sake of changing. You know, you don't want somebody coming in being like, oh, we're going to do this. And then, you know, all these people that have been with it since the beginning are going, well, that doesn't make any sense. For all these years we've been saying, no, you can't, and now all of a sudden you're saying, yes, you can. And I think that's where a lot of the gatekeepers come from. is they're worried that, you know, the loudest minority, and it is a minority, I don't care what anybody says on social media, it is a minority of people saying, nope, we need these, we have to have them. It's just overwhelmingly an amount of people saying, no, we don't need that. And then people like me who are like, I mean, tabletop, do what you want. You know, you got your own headcanon, fine, I don't care. But don't start writing to Games Workshop on why we need X, Y, and Z when there already is X, Y, and Z except in one specific faction. You know, the Adeptus Sororitas, strictly female for the most part. I mean, there were men at one point, I believe, if I remember correctly. Eldari has females. Drukhari, females. Orcs, generally asexual, so if that's your thing, go for it. Imperial Guard, male and female. Inquisition, male and female. Mechanicus, male and female. Even within the Astartes ranks, you have females. Lotara Saren, that's one. That's, you know, World Eater's ship mistress. Games Workshop put out on their Warhammer Plus a backstory on the ship mistress for the Blood Angels. It's there. So you either try to enjoy what's already there, or you're just arguing for the sake of arguing. And I think that's what it all essentially boils down to, is that people know this is going to, you know, raise heckles, whatever. The thing on the back of your neck, hair, stands up. They're going to cause this rift. And you've seen it happen in many, many other fandoms already, of where, no, we want to change everything to appease this section of people over here and, you know, forget about everybody else. And I think that's the biggest concern that most people have for the 40k setting. So, again, I just wanted to put a little bit more context on this argument, because, you know, it's always one side or the other. You're either with us or against us type of deal. And at the end of the day, I think 40k can be enjoyed by anybody. I don't care what your sexual orientation is. I don't care what your, you know, what you identify as, what your pronouns are. It's there for everybody. And that's the one thing I've been successful at, is bringing people into the fandom just on the merits of what already exists, and not saying that there needs to be these drastic changes or changes for the sake of changing. But yeah, again, that's just my honest opinion. I'm just trying to be as objective as possible. Especially, I generally align with the people that are saying to keep the gate, but the arguments that I've seen for the other side occasionally have some merit, but the biggest ones, they really don't, because you're asking for something that's already there. But it turns into this, oh, well, you have this, so I want it, sort of argument. And that's going to piss people off, period. Now, you start throwing down some logical arguments and stuff that can be pointed to within what's already existing, and saying, well, hey, look, at this point they said this, this, and this, that isn't Rogue Trader, we're gonna completely push that out of the window. Then you have a leg to stand on of, oh, okay, well, yeah, they did say that at this point, so yeah, you're probably right. But they haven't yet. And they haven't in any other publication that they've put out. So at the end of the day, that's what it boils down to. So I hope you guys get some general understanding of this. Again, I'm not trying to make anybody mad. I'm just explaining both sides of the coin here, trying to be as objective as possible, even though I don't agree with one side. Like I said, the one side that I don't agree with generally makes the same inflammatory statements every single time that causes the people that I do tend to align with to get upset. So, thanks for watching if you made it this far. Didn't want this to be a boring video. I just wanted to sort of put something out there because there's been a lot of drama. Feel free to ask me in the comments if you have any questions, or if you disagree with me, or you do agree with me. Great. And we'll go from there. I've also been thinking about putting out more 40k content. It's hard to see, but I have a massive library behind me of 40k, among other things. And, you know, I generally try to stay on top of things in the 40k universe for the most part, even though I don't spit out YouTube videos but like once every 3 months now, which I'm also trying to work on that. But yeah, let me know in the comments. I'll talk to you guys later, and till next time, goodbye.